Good morning, everyone. How are y'all today? I'm Ben Welch. Whoops, let's get this fixed. I'm Ben Welch, and I want to welcome you to the Williamson County 2026 Memorial Day service that we're having today. And I just want to thank everybody who is here so that we can honor and remember the fallen on this day that have served our country so greatly. We ask at this time that you go ahead and silence your phones so that we can make sure that we don't have any disruptions during the service. And I'd like to again thank the Williamson County Community Orchestra for the fine job that they've done today. And again, I want to thank all of you. God bless you for coming here today. Would you please stand, if you're able, for the invocation by Chaplain Jack R. Kermode of the 118th Air Group, and remain standing for the posting of the colors.
Let us pray. Lord, we come to you on this somber occasion with thankful hearts, thankful for your blessings, thankful for the freedoms that we enjoy here in the United States, and thankful for the opportunity we have to gather here today and reflect. On this day, we think about those men and women who went before us. Everyone who takes the oath to serve our country knows their service may come with a cost. Today, we pause to remember those who paid that cost. Some of us here today come with especially heavy hearts, having lost a friend or loved one in service of our country. Maybe that loss happened on the battlefield. Maybe that loss happened later through physical or mental injuries sustained through their service. Lord, you know. Help us to weep with those who weep, and we pray you provide comfort for those who are in pain here today. Even now, we think of our service members who are in harm's way as we speak. We ask that you would protect them, guide them, and bring them home safely. We commit the rest of this ceremony to you now, and I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Kermode. Color Guard, post the colors.
Ready, one. Ready, down. Center, face. Ready, step. Reset, arms.
Would you please join me in reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the playing of our national anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Face. Forward. March. Hut. 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 Hut.
Please be seated, ladies and gentlemen. And now, our City of Franklin Mayor, Dr. Ken Moore, and Senator Marsha Blackburn would like to come forward and make some comments. Senator Blackburn?
Good morning. What an honor it is to join you today as we have a day of remembrance and as we gather to pay our respects for those that have made the ultimate sacrifice. Yesterday at church, someone commented that they loved Memorial Day because it was the start of summer. And I said, you know, Memorial Day is a sacred day. It is a day of remembrance so that we pause and reflect on the extraordinary courage of men and women who have worn that uniform and have made the ultimate sacrifice. Today is a day when families and friends visit cemeteries and they place flags on graves. They remember the loved ones who have made that sacrifice. And I find it so extraordinary that our men and women in uniform come from small towns and big cities. They come from farms and factories, from schools, from churches, and from the arms of loved ones. But the thing that unites each and every one of them is their love of country and their love of their fellow man. Their sacrifice really is the foundation of our freedoms. Because of them, America is the greatest nation in the world, a nation that is built on faith, family, freedom, hope, and opportunity. Every right that we enjoy, every single right, every election we participate in, every prayer that is freely offered has been protected by generations of American patriots who have said, I am willing to stand in harm's way for you and your freedoms. Today, we remember the fallen of every generation, from the battlefields of the American Revolution to the shores of Normandy, from Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan. We pause. We can never repay the debt we owe, but we can honor the memory by living lives worthy of their sacrifice. Now, in this year of our nation's 250th anniversary celebration, it is imperative that we teach our children about the value of freedom. We must preserve the principles that make America exceptional, and we must continue to support our family members and veterans who have carried this burden of sacrifice. To every Gold Star family who is here today, this community's remember the ones that you loved. They honor the courage, and they stand with you in gratitude for that service. As Americans, we're blessed beyond measure. We know that our freedom is not guaranteed. Our freedom must be preserved. And it is preserved by the brave men and women who are willing to defend it. So today, let us bow our heads in prayer and in gratitude for the fallen, for these military families, for the United States of America. And may God bless and honor the memory of those that we stand to honor today. May He bless and honor the great state of Tennessee and the United States of America.
Thank you, Senator Blackburn. Dr. Moore.
Senator Blackburn, thank you for those impactful comments. Recognize our veterans that have served and those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. Today we pause to honor our fallen. Ceremonies such as this are occurring across our country, but this is not the only way we have chosen to honor the fallen. Our cemeteries are the final resting place. Some of those are federal, dedicated to our veterans, some local, and some family cemeteries. Let me start, sadly, with a sad note to report that February the 21st, 2026, James Thomas Prince, proud veteran of World War II and the last living World War II veteran in Williamson County, passed away peacefully. He proudly served in the United States Army from December 26, 1945 to February the 3rd, 1948. His military service helped build a career that included serving as an officer in the Franklin Police Department. Community involvement included acting as a counselor at our local Boys and Girls Club, and many people recognize him as the crossing guard at Freedom Middle School. He was buried in the Middle Tennessee Veterans Cemetery in Nashville. As we approach our 250th anniversary as a country, it is fitting to recognize patriots from our founding as a country that their eventual resting places in Williamson County. Some of this has come to light as local initiatives of cleaning headstones and uprighting gravestones by local Chuck Isaacs. According to Andrew Crockett, Sons of the American Revolution, we have at least 51 patriot graves throughout Williamson County. Names such as Colonel Guilford Dudley, David Aguirre, Miles and Moses Priest, Daniel McMahon, John Bostic, Thomas Hardin Perkins, Roger Mallory, and James Turner, just to name a few. I recently read a book called Who is Government by Michael Lewis. It's a compilation of stories of untold public service. In that book, I learned about Staff Sergeant Robert Ferris Jr., who was a ball turret gunner in a B-17 that was headed to Normandy. But 4 days after Christmas in 1942, he, along with 8 other airmen, were downed by the German Luftwaffe. Ferris, along with 6 of the crewmen, perished in the crash. Their bodies mangled beyond recognition and were buried in a nearby French village and later exhumed and moved to the American cemetery. The epitaph above his burial site, along with other unidentified soldiers, reads, "Here rest in honored glory, a comrade in arms, known but to God." Thanks to modern technology of DNA testing, 8 decades later, his remains were identified, and he came home to his family when was buried in the New Bern Veterans Cemetery. I've read that every other nation would have probably left Ferris where he lay, but we as Americans have a commitment to leave no serviceman behind, extending even to death. We have a duty to identify and bring them home. It's part of our DNA. Stories like his remind us of a defining American promise: we do not leave our fallen behind. As Abraham Lincoln expressed, we have honor those who gave the last full measure of devotion by returning them to their loved ones and ensuring their sacrifices never forgotten. This is part of who we are as a nation. It's deeply embedded in our character. I'm also reminded of the missing man table ceremony that the military carries out. It honors military servicemen that are prisoners of war or missing in action. And I thought it was impactful that a yellow ribbon at the table represents the determination to account for the missing, and a lit candle represents the light of hope for their return. Our cemeteries, whether they're national, local, or just family plots, tell the story of who we are. They reflect our history, our values, and our reverence for those who came before us. Families lovingly decorate and maintain grave sites, just as our government, through the National Cemetery Administration, who, by the way, has the highest ranking of any government agency, 97%. And this upholds the sacred duty of care of our veterans' final resting places. The respect is more than tradition, it is a moral obligation we have. So as we pause today, let us renew our commitment to remember the fallen, to honor their families, and to bring home every service member still unaccounted for. Let their courage and sacrifice strengthen our resolve to preserve the freedoms they died defending. May God bless those that served, those we have lost, their families, and this great nation that they have helped secure. And may we as a community continue to be worthy of their sacrifice.
Thank you, City of Franklin, Dr. Ken Moore. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our Williamson County Mayor, Mr. Rogers Anderson.
Well, thank you. And before I actually begin my remarks, for the last couple of years, we've tried to identify, even though today is about the ultimate sacrifice individual, but we've tried to identify the oldest living veteran that's at this ceremony. So, in order to do that, I need to start at age 100. So, if you're a veteran that's 100 or more, if you're able to stand, stand, and if not, would you raise your hand? Was there anyone else over 100? 106, I believe, if I were 105. I'm off a year. Congratulations. Duty, honor in the country, many have lived for it and many have died for it. As Americans, we must remember and remind ourselves of the future that they fought for and do our best to live up to the values in the days ahead. May 30th, 1868, the Memorial Day was once called Decoration Day, and it started by an order from the Major General John Logan. He made a case and set the precedence for a holiday in memory of the soldiers who died to preserve the Union and break the chains of slavery. He challenged his fellow Americans to testify to this and to the coming generations of the cost of a free republic. A cost many willingly and bravely paid in the rocky fields of Gettysburg and Shiloh and the countless fields and the villages and the hilltops. After World War I, Memorial Day took on even a greater meaning, becoming a day when we would honor all of America's war dead. We remember by laying wreaths, going to the grave sites, flags, parades, events like we're having here today. It's a day when we honor those who fought and died to preserve our nation, a nation not of a particular people, but of an idea that all men are created equal, and they are endowed by our Creator in certain inalienable rights, that among these are the life and the liberty and the pursuit of happiness. If there ever was an idea worth dying for, it would be that. And equality and freedom and opportunity are its gifts. Many of the men and women here that have served have lost family and friends, maybe even comrades. In order to acknowledge that today, I thought I would read from a different perspective. Many of us have entertained this poem when we were in high school. It's about Ralph Waldo Emerson, and it's his definition of success. I submit to you his writing. Laugh often and much. Win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children. Earn the appropriate of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends. Appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to give of oneself, to leave this world a better place, whether by a healthy child or a garden patch or a social condition. Play and laugh with enthusiasm and sing with exaltation. To know even one life has breathed easier because you lived and because of your sacrifice, then we have succeeded. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Anderson. Please stand if you are able. We would like to, would the honor guard please come forward for the laying of the wreath. I would now like to go ahead and be seated. I would like to invite retired Chaplain Lane Stokeland to share his thoughts about Memorial Day.
Thank you, Ben. Mayors Moore and Anderson, Senator Blackburn, other dignitaries, politicians, public servants, families, friends, students, military personnel, military retirees, fellow citizens, and most importantly, my fellow veterans and our Gold Star family members. Thank you for the opportunity to honor and as an honor to be here and speak this morning. Let's give Ben Welsh a hand for preparing this entire program with the help of others. It is a lot of work, I know. Thank you, Ben. No wonder your hair is getting a little grayer every day I see you, so. This is not part of what I was going to say, but I've been thinking of people that I know that I've friends that have been lost in combat. And so we remember all those folks today. Now, over the years in speaking or preaching, people sometimes approached me before speaking and they've said, "Chaplain, I hope you have something good to say today." I always responded, "Well, I hope I have something that must be said." And that is my hope today. As you know, in Franklin and Williamson County, we are proud that thousands of veterans and their families call this area home. We see numerous reminders of their service and sacrifice. Our mayors and Senator Blackburn have already mentioned all these folks. Their graves dot our cemeteries. We have monuments, battlefields, and historic Civil War era buildings and grounds. We see our veterans all throughout the year. Many are here today. Whether it is this program, the annual Veterans Day Parade, or other events and ceremonies, our veterans showcase the best of Williamson County, sharing their wisdom and admirable qualities. In addition, we honor Gold Star family members today who represent fallen heroes, a fallen loved one from their family. We owe them a deep debt of gratitude for their sacrifice and recognize their personal loss. Gold Star families, please know that this community does not forget you or your loved ones. Now today I want to share part of the story of a fallen Gold Star hero, which I'll mention a little bit about the photos a little later. A Williamson County native son, a young black man named Richard Lee Carruthers, who was born and raised in Williamson County. I call him the kid from Florenceville. Now, my aim this morning is not just to inspire, educate, or inform you, although I hope that happens. I trust we leave here today committed to taking action based on the stories we will hear. Let the story of Private First Class Richard Lee Carruthers inspire us to respond. We'll discuss a little bit how we can do that toward the end. Richard Lee Carruthers, known as RL to his family and friends, was born in Williamson County on March 1st, 1945, the son of Daniel T. Carruthers and Mary E. Dobbins Carruthers. He was killed in action in Vietnam on December 17th, 1966, during a ferocious battle in the area of Highway 506 Valley and the Bong Son. I noticed some First Cav folks here today from Vietnam. Daniel and Mary had 13 children. The remaining 12 are still alive today. Now, Richard's upbringing was quite typical of most children in that day. Now, we're speaking of the 40s and 50s. They stayed active with farm chores, exploring, climbing trees, picking wild grapes, hunting, fishing, attending church and Sunday school, playing ball, going to school. Perhaps some youth today would envy their wonderful upbringing. For the first 3 grades, Richard attended an all-black elementary school called the Florenceville School. It was located along Arnold Road, approximately a quarter-mile south of the current Murfreesboro Road. The site of the old school is now part of a child care center. As you drive by this location, the old school is the building closest to Arnold Road. After completing third grade, Richard attended Franklin Training School, which in 1961 became Natchez High School. He graduated from there in 1963. Now, during high school, he played both the trombone and trumpet in the school band and received a school letter for band for the 1962-63 academic year. One of his classmates described him as quiet, very smart, with a wonderful smile. In addition to his home life, family, and faith life, Richard's 3 years at the Florenceville School, along with his time at Franklin Training School and Natchez High, played a significant role in shaping his personality. These experiences contributed to his strong work ethic, compassion for others, and his positive can-do attitude. These attributes influenced his decision to join the Army and were evident throughout his training and combat experience in Vietnam. Ultimately, these qualities led him to sacrifice his life for his platoon, fellow soldiers, and for his country. In doing so, he made the ultimate sacrifice for you and me. Now, Richard came from a family with a proud heritage of military service. Franklin's very own Carol Robinson wrote an article about the brothers, which was included in the November 17th, 2019 edition of Saluting Our Hometown Heroes. You've seen that supplement to the paper during Veterans Day weekend. The title was Brothers in Arms, and Carol stated, and I quote, "When the nation is engaged in a war, some families seem bound by a sense of service. The Carruthers family of the Arno community is such one family. Daniel and Mary Carruthers farmed land along what is now Carruthers Road on the east side of Franklin and had a household of children. That they did. Among the children were 5 sons who joined the military. Each either enlisted or was drafted. All 5 went to Vietnam. 1 was wounded and 1 was killed in action," end of quote. Richard, along with his brothers and millions of other sons and daughters, felt this call to service. After he was drafted, he went to basic training at Fort Polk, Louisiana, and advanced individual training at Fort Ord, California. His MOS, or military occupational specialty, was Infantry Indirect Fire Crewman, 11 Charlie 10. He had a close personal friend named James Robert Hood, known as Bobby. Richard and Bobby agreed to join the Army together, and the Army still has that program where 2 folks can join together and serve together, which they did. And by the way, Bobby was white and Richard was black. Now, Richard arrived in Vietnam in early August 1966. He was assigned to Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, 12th Cavalry Regiment. This unit, among others of the 1st Cav, was also known as Air Cavalry or Air Mobile. Letters that he wrote to family and friends tell us a little bit about his early months in Vietnam. He was involved in patrols, various types of missions, and the day-to-day life of a soldier in Vietnam, with ups and downs, times of boredom, but then times of chaotic response to incoming and things of that nature. Sources tell us that in the fall of 1966, enemy activity increased in the area of the Highway 506 Valley and the Bong Son. And as a result, his battalion and many other units from the 1st Cav began preparing for missions in this area. The Carruthers family heard that if 2 brothers were in Vietnam at the same time, one of them could be assigned elsewhere, wherever their branch of service needed them. Now, James, who was in the Marine Corps, a brother of Richard, was well aware of this military policy, and James was sent to Vietnam just a few months after Richard arrived there. And sometime after James arrived in Vietnam, he wrote Richard a letter, and he informed Richard that if he chose to do so, he could go back to the U.S. James really was more frank than that. He said, "You need to get out of here and get back to the States." But Richard explained to James and his family that if he did that, he'd have to leave Bobby. And he said, "Bobby and I came into the Army together, and I'm not going to leave him." In addition, Richard felt that the younger soldiers in his unit looked to him for help, advice, and support. Even though he was only there a couple of months by this time, most of the other soldiers had just newly arrived, and Richard, believe it or not, was one of the more seasoned soldiers in that company. He would sometimes serve as the point man on patrols and other missions. And he felt obligated to do this so some of the younger, newer soldiers could first learn how to take the point. This truly demonstrates Richard's resolve and dedication to his soldiers. Well, we now come to the battle in the Highway 506 Valley where Richard and many others were killed on December 17, 1966. Many have written accounts of this battle. One was First Lieutenant Grover C. Robinson, who wrote an organizational history of 1st Battalion, 12th Cavalry. And Robinson offers this summary of the battle in which Richard and others were killed. And I quote, "On 12 December, the battalion set out by land and air to the rice-rich operational area northwest of Quy Nhon. The mission was to search and clear the fertile Highway 506 and Kim Son valleys, denying those areas to the enemy. The battalion's first 3 weeks in this area would prove the most costly fighting since their arrival in the Republic of Vietnam. In the two battles of 17 December and 27 December, the battalion suffered 44 killed in action. Enemy casualties for those two battles were much greater, but this offered small consolation to the men of the unit despite the battalion inflicting heavy casualties on the enemy," end of quote. Tom Crabtree, a man that I found through the internet on the first Charlie Company, first Cav, first to the 12th website, and Richard served together. Tom fondly recalled Richard and their time together. He knew Richard fairly well and had nothing but glowing words for him, as he described in a video chat on November 20th, 2025. At that time, Tom was 78 years old at the time of the interview, but I recently learned he has passed away. Now, Tom said of Richard, "He was the kind of guy that stood out. Many of us thought he was a sergeant due to his natural leadership ability and how others looked up to him." Now, Richard held the rank of Private First Class, E3, which is 2 ranks below a sergeant. Tom goes on, both white and black soldiers looked up to him. He had a natural knack for leadership and others followed him. Tom added, he didn't shy away from a firefight or a battle. He had an upbeat spirit and it wore off on others. Now, Tom shared what he recalled of the Battle of Bong Son in the Highway 506 Valley. He says, "We got caught by the North Vietnamese Army and we couldn't break out. Both Charlie and Delta companies faced a highly trained and skilled regiment of the North Vietnamese Army, the 18th Regiment. Many of us thought this was the end for us," he said. According to Tom, the two companies lost over half of their personnel, with many either killed in action or wounded, and nearly every combat medic was either killed or wounded in that battle. He estimated the company's strength of those two companies was 80 and 125 personnel, Charlie and Delta. Now, during these battles, the North Vietnamese Army employed many snipers hidden in trees, and these snipers killed many members of Charlie and Delta. At the conclusion of the fighting on December 17th, 1966, 34 U.S. troopers lay dead, including PFC Richard Lee Carruthers. Now, shortly after his death, Richard was posthumously awarded the Bronze Star with Valor and the Purple Heart. Captain G.R. Stevens presented the medal to Richard's parents, and there's a narrative of this Bronze Star right up here. Please come up, if you'd like, at the end and read the narrative. It describes in detail Richard's heroics that day. Now, during my research, I discovered that the chaplain of the 1st 12th Air Cavalry Battalion, Chaplain Jack Keene, passed away in 2022. So I didn't have the chance to speak to him, but I did track down a chaplain named Chaplain Claude Newby, who served as a battalion chaplain for the 2nd of the 8th Air Cav, which was a sister battalion to 1st of the 12th. Chaplain Newby authored a book which I've read in entirety. It's called It Took Heroes, a wonderful book. Now, in his book, Chaplain Newby recalls providing ministry at a landing zone named Landing Zone Hammond, LZ for short, on the day in which these soldiers were killed, December 17th, 1966. A Chinook helicopter transported 34 bodies from the battle in the 506 Valley, including soldiers from various companies of the 1st to the 12th, 1st to the 8th, and 1st to the 9th Air Cav. Of course, Richard was among those brought to Landing Zone Hammond. Chaplain Newby's recollection, which he has in the book, is a bit graphic, but I need to share it with you so you can understand and feel the tremendous weight and nature of these losses of these sons. I quote, "At Hammond, Graves registration personnel laid each of the 34 bodies, America's sons, dads, husbands, and sweethearts, on his back with his head to the west. 72 eyes, less the occasional empty eye socket or missing face, stared vacantly into the rain-laden heavens. I moved among the bodies and looked deeply into those staring, glazed-over eyes, letting the strange images burn indelibly into my mind. Every body was contorted. Many rigor mortis stiffened arms reached upward to ward off some horrible evil, as it were, while their arms stretched heavenward as if to grasp solace or rescue from some source visible only to the spirit, which had so recently departed his body. I prayed for the souls of these men who gave their all in terrible mortal combat and for their loved ones. I prayed for each soldier as he stood about the dead in solemn contemplation of his own mortality. I even prayed for the news photographer, who in my mind greatly offended the memory of the dead and the senses of the living. And I prayed for the politicians and leaders who, rightly or wrongly, had placed these men here to die so horribly at Christmas time. Now, during these moments with the dead at LZ Hammond, I became convinced that a just and merciful God will requite these soldiers for their sacrifice in the 506 Valley. I was convinced that this was so, even though many of them may have ended their short lives with profanity on their lips, as was so often the case during heavy fighting in Vietnam. I would soon discover in battle after battle that obscene and profane babbling frequently punctuated the horrible sounds, sights, and smells of close combat. Even so, as I walked slowly among the massed dead, all laid out in military formation, I kept remembering Christ's declaration, "Greater love hath no man than this, that he laid down his life for his friends." John 15:13. Those men laid down their lives reluctantly in most cases, but they'd done it. They'd chosen the risks of service to country, squad, and buddy over the personal security offered by fleeing to Sweden, Canada, or onto the college campus. These grunts fought the good fight, 1 Timothy 6:12, end of quote. Richard and his fellow soldiers exemplified devotion to duty, self-sacrifice, commitment to one another, and perseverance while fighting an increasingly unpopular war, often marked by mixed messages from their own country. Their dedication serves as a shining example for all of us here today, from the youngest to the oldest. And may we never forget the values, principles, and moral integrity demonstrated by warriors and servants like R.L. Carruthers. Now, I want to pause for just a moment, and I want to recognize some folks, and I want them to stand. If you feel it's appropriate to applause, I would ask that you would hold that applause till all have been recognized. And there are 2 or 3 different sets of folks, and I also want to point out something. So I want all family members of Richard Carruthers to please stand at this time. Some brothers are here, some sisters are here. They're back behind us, they're over here. And I also, is Faye Hood, Bobby's Carruthers family, cousins of Richard, aunts, uncles. Noble, do you know if Faye, are you here? Bobby Hood's widow. Is Faye here? Okay. I also, well, any Gold Star family members, are you here? Would you be so kind to stand so we could recognize you? Any Gold Star families who've lost a loved one? Okay. Thank you so much. We love you. We appreciate all that you have given to this nation, to our county. You also will see 4 miniature U.S. flags right there. That's Richard's brick. So if you care to take a look at that. And also you'll see some photos. You may be seated up here that we put together that we feel would just be of interest to you. I want to mention that this pencil portrait by Michael Reagan, you've heard of, I think it's the Fallen Projects Hero program where he does pencil sketches. He's done thousands of them, mainly of only Iraqi and Afghanistan veterans, but he made an exception to do a Vietnam veteran once we contacted him, and he was more than happy. And that's a photograph of Richard from one of the years he was in high school, and he was able to take that. So please come up and take a look at that. So how can we intentionally respond today? We must remember our fallen veterans and do not forget them. One Williamson County Gold Star mother said this: "We don't want to forget our son, and we don't want others to forget." Another Gold Star mother from North Carolina or South Carolina, I can't recall, who lost a son in Vietnam on August 7th, 1969, said, "Dying for freedom isn't the worst thing that can happen. Being forgotten is." We must honor and engage with our veterans who are a valuable resource to our community. If you are in education, school, junior high, elementary, doesn't matter, reach out to our veteran service organizations. You may find a veteran, ask them, do you have a veteran willing to come, share their story? It could be for a history class, could be for government. Share those stories with students, and that would create a meaningful experience for them. Consider contacting local care facilities to arrange visits with their veteran residents. The kids would have a blast listening to some of their stories, and it would be a wonderful blessing for the residents as well. Explore creative ways to connect with veterans, such as involving them in community events, supporting their families. Continue to attend events like this. Many veteran service organizations hold events, meetings, and celebrations all throughout the year. Please attend those and show your support. I know you will. With this, I close. At last year's Juneteenth celebration at the McLemore House here in Franklin, American Legion Post 215, which many members are here, white shirts and black pants, they raised the American flag and the Juneteenth flag. And I asked James, can I join you guys? Because I'm also a Legionnaire. He said, yeah. So I lined up with them, and I was the last on the end. The gentleman walked and got to attention, and then we raised the American flag and the Juneteenth flag. As we heard the command, order arms, we lowered our salute. And I turned to James, who stood right here to my right, and I said, Richard would be here today if he hadn't been killed in Vietnam. James just nodded his head. Because of the great sacrifice of our veterans, our response, our gratitude, our actions must be great as well. They gave all, we can give no less, as we remember them and honor them, not just on Memorial Day, but all year through. And so today we say thank you to these folks who have given their all. Thank you to our veterans here today and all our veterans in this wonderful county and all across our nation. Our Vietnam vets especially, our Afghan, Iraqi vets, and all the other special operations. May we continue to express our gratitude to them, and may we never forget the kid from Florenceville who gave up his life for his country, his community, and for me and you. Thank you for allowing me to share these thoughts this morning. May God bless you, our veterans, their families, our city, our county, the great state of Tennessee, and the USA. Thank you again.
God bless you, Chaplain Stokeland. Thank you so much. Every year, during our Memorial Day service, we recognize the addition of pavers that Williamson County residents have purchased to honor family members, loved ones, or friends that have served their country through military service. This year, we're adding 61 pavers to the walkway. And these include pavers not only from members of military service, but also members of the U.S. colored troops that served during the Civil War and Revolutionary War soldiers as well. I would like to ask Mayor Anderson and Mayor Moore to come forward and read the names of the pavers that we're adding to the Parks walkway this year.
Sorry.
Do you want to read the rank or just go ahead? Yeah. Lee C. Gerhard, First Lieutenant, United States Army.
Danny Norman, U.S. American Army.
Jeff Craig, CTA-2, U.S. Navy.
George G.M. Duffy, Captain, United States Marine Corps.
James W. Howard, Lieutenant Colonel, Army.
Moses S. Carlisle, Federal Army, Navy.
Wilson T. Caldwell, Staff Sergeant, U.S. Army.
Gilbert L. Jamison, United States Navy.
Fonz C. Jameson, U.S. Navy.
Paul A. Vantrick, United States Marine Corps.
Earl D. Massey, Navy.
John H. Lunsford, Staff Sergeant.
John H. Mather, M.D., Major.
Larry M. Beadle, First Lieutenant, Army.
Donald Morville, First Lieutenant, Army.
Willie J. Ferguson, Master Sergeant, United States Marine Corps.
David J. Pierce, Army.
Raymond E. Stamps, Staff Sergeant, Army.
Benedict R. Renato, Sergeant, United States Air Force.
Robert Sealock, Jr., Colonel in the Army.
Bill G. White, Sergeant, Army.
Thomas N. Wright, United States Navy.
James A. Thomason, Spec 4, Army.
Kenneth Choate, Jr., Captain in the Army.
Melvin Henson, Sergeant, United States Air Force.
Richard L. Picello, United States Air Force.
Dublin Armstrong, Private, U.S. Colored Troop.
Joseph Armstrong, United States Colored Troop.
Junius Armstrong, U.S. Colored Troop.
McNeil Armstrong, United States Colored Troop.
Green W. Bailey, U.S. Colored Troop.
Henry Barry, United States Colored Troop.
Alan S. Buford, U.S. Colored Troop.
Edmund Carpenter, United States Colored Troop.
Squire Daniels, Corporal, United States Colored Troop.
John H. Frierson, United States Colored Troop.
Andrew Giddens, United States Colored Troop.
George Harrison, United States Colored Troop.
Tom Henderson, Sergeant, United States Colored Troop.
Evans Jordan, United States Colored Troop.
George King, Corporal, United States Colored Troop.
Henry Moon, Private First, United States Colored Troop.
Lewis Moon, Private, United States Colored Troop.
Columbus North Senior, Sergeant, United States Colored Troop.
Jeremiah Patton, Private, United States Colored Troop.
Austin P. Pope, Private, United States Colored Troop.
Abram Rawls, Private, United States Colored Troop.
Harrison Roberts, United States Colored Troop.
Wilson Robinson, Private, United States Colored Troop.
Ben Swanson II, United States Colored Troop.
Warren Swanson, Private, United States Colored Troop.
Archie Watkins, United States Colored Troop.
William Williamson, United States Colored Troop.
Henry Ray, musician, United States Colored Troop.
Johnny B. Patterson, U.S. Navy.
Richard W. Straff, Colonel, United States Army.
Richard R. Zetter, Sergeant, Army Air Corps.
Jesse Franklin, Captain of the Army, Revolutionary War.
Owen Todd, Private, Army, Revolutionary War.
And James Leeper, Captain, North Carolina Revolutionary War. I think we left out one.
23.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Donald Hubachman, First Lieutenant, U.S. Army.
Thank you, Mayor Anderson and Mayor Moore. With the flag folding detail, please come forward. Mayor Anderson will now present the flag. Thank you, Mayor Anderson. This year, we have a very pleasant surprise. The poem Yesterday, that has appeared in our program for 10 years, has finally been completed. Colonel retired Stan Tyson experienced a level of what I would consider magical inspiration that compelled him to write the final portion of his beloved poem. I would like to call retired Colonel Stan Tyson to come forward at this time and to read all of his magnificent poem here on its 10th anniversary, the poem Yesterday in its entirety.
I followed a lot of folks. But this morning I got 2 chaplains, 2 mayors, and a United States senator. This ain't easy. I write about 1 poem a year, and most of my inspirations come while I'm sitting in church listening, or should be listening to a sermon. And that's where this one came from, and it went for Memorial Day 10 years ago. Since then, it has changed a couple of times. Like he said, I added the last stanza within the last year and a half. But this morning, I changed 1 more word, and maybe it's finished. The poem is called Yesterday, and it says, we've journeyed down a well-worn way to search for those who couldn't stay, now lost in time where shadows lay, a distant place called yesterday. We served the flag when we were young. Boys to men, still songs we sung spoke of home and days to come. And life was full when we were young. And so we followed day by day along that ancient traveled way which leads to those who marched away. A moment passed just yesterday. The day grows long and calls the night. A distant star casts down its light upon a time and place where they are gathered there in yesterday. Last stanza. We'll join again with kith and kin beyond the pale at journey's end and sleep till shadows fade away and Christ returns to yesterday. Thank you.
In case some of you don't know, retired Colonel Stan Tyson also stood down the 1st of the 12th Air Cavalry Regiment in Vietnam when that unit's time of service ended. So, God bless you, sir. God bless you. Firing detail, stand by. Color guard, retire the colors. I'd like to call for the benediction by Chaplain Jack Kermudi, followed by the playing of America the Beautiful.
Receive the benediction. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you his peace. Amen.
Absolutely wonderful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our Memorial Day service. I would like to thank everyone who participated and everyone for attending here. Please go and enjoy the rest of the day. And if you know a veteran, if you know a family member who has lost a loved one in the service, today, make this a glorious day, a good day, a godly day to go to them and to show them your love and appreciation. Thank you.